Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, Spirit Journey of the White Cherokee. Hey, call me Jake. I just share spiritual knowledge from experience. I hadn't posted anything in quite a while. That's probably been close to a year or so. But you know, sometimes you just need a break, right? So let me just make this a reintroduction since I took all my old videos and everything off YouTube. But I took them all down because that part that I was doing, I don't know, maybe posted for a couple years or something like that, but it was for a specific purpose. And by the way, apologize for the blurriness. There's something going on with my with the screensaver, but it just is what it is. But the videos that I posted, I took them all down because I was actually using that as a way to process a lot of things that myself and my family had gone through, and so it helped me. When you don't have anybody to talk to, sometimes it just helps to do what I've done and just kind of get it, process it through posting videos. And but anyway, a little bit of background from a professional perspective. It's I've got probably about 17 years experience in land navigation, another decade in emergency services. Been emergency medical dispatcher, firefighter, contract security, stuff like that. And but anyways, a lot of training, a lot of behind the scenes work, a lot of involvement in what goes on behind closed doors, in a 911 system. And let's see, what is it now? It's like it's November 13th and 2024. So like almost 5 years ago, when I was in the dispatch center, it's things got a little crazy up in there. Try to think of a tactful way to explain it or put it into words. It's kind of like this. Well, I gave professional background, but through my childhood, I had some pretty crazy experiences that I couldn't explain, which led me on a path for my personal time of later years, as coming into adulthood and stuff. Started exploring how crazy things can happen, paranormal experiences, just things that are just kind of unexplainable. Like, what's going on with that? And for me, so I needed to know for me. So it just took me on this kind of journey within. Around probably the year 2000 or so, I started studying, reading Robert Monroe's books, and he's the one that created the Monroe Institute up in, I believe, West Virginia. And anyway, I got a hold of the whole series that he created called the Gateway Experience, and that allowed me to really begin exploring my meditations, really start studying the vibrational patterns that take place within the human vessel, really start studying the psychological processes that take place. Or I really started getting into all that stuff, studying brainwave patterns, different levels of perception that you achieve whenever you move into different brainwave patterns. Kind of teaching the body, or or teaching the mind to stay awake as you're getting the body to go to sleep. You get this engagement between the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. Anyway, it's a lot of cool stuff like that. But I've been doing that, since the late '90s. Around 2000, studying astral projection. All this amazing stuff that I've done on my own time, and I didn't really talk about it much outside my immediate circle because that kind of stuff in my environment, the people, they look down on woo-woo. They don't like it. You're supposed to go to church, read from the Bible, and not ask questions and don't explore anything beyond that, and it just didn't really jive with me. I always embraced my Cherokee roots, my beautiful connection to nature. I always felt things differently in nature than I would feel elsewhere. And, so I had to journey within and start finding out, what the deal was with all of this creation spirit. What is God? How does it all work? What's going on with all of it? And, so that's what I've done, and I've got a quarter of a century or so been exploring all that. Anyway, that being said, I just brought that part up to establish the fact that I lead my life on the foundation of a moral compass that I've developed for myself. As I self-govern my own actions. I utilize my own critical thinking skills, and I've done a lot of work on knowing thyself, and that foundation is how I operate my life, and that's what I was doing 5 years ago when everything started falling apart, and we started getting crazy reports through the media about our facilities overflowing with patients, and just things like that were in my environment for my situation. I was in contact with facilities and handling the 911 processes that were taking place in my community, firsthand involvement with all that, and what big media was portraying to the people is not what was happening. Oh, whoa, that's not good. Hang on, we got a bunch of craziness happening up here. But anyway, that being portrayed, that's not what was happening in my community. And myself and others, in the dispatch center with me, we knew that. And, we were in communication with facilities daily, doing patient transports and just all kind of stuff for all kinds of reasons. And that's not what was happening. So I guess, make a long story short, I found myself about 5 years ago, not quite 5 years ago, but getting close. But I found myself having my foundation really rattled because I was suddenly in a position of manipulation. I was placed in that position and I completely disagreed with it. There were not any protocols being implemented where I was at for safety, and it was being portrayed to all of the public that we were experiencing a highly contagious viral pandemic. And there's procedures to handle things like that. I've went through training involving those procedures, and everybody that I worked with went through training involving those procedures, but yet we were not implementing any of those procedures, nothing. I was actually told, oh, don't worry about it, it's just another flu. But then I was was being forced to implement these new protocols that went in towards the beginning of the year in 2020. Every 911 center across the nation implemented new protocols. If you called 911 and you had any flu-like symptoms at all, or you had traveled within 2 weeks, or had been in contact with anyone that had traveled within 2 weeks, then you were considered hot for the C word, and you were tagged that way through the 911 system. The ERs across the land also implemented that protocol. So if you went into the ER and you had any flu-like symptoms, so runny nose, sniffling nose, coughing, fever, stomach ache, tore up stomach, any of that, sniffles, any of that stuff, then you were considered hot for the C word. And apparently there's all kinds of additional funding that could be received if people were hot for the C word. And so that, from what I could tell in my community, it appeared that everyone that the protocols were tagging as hot seemed to be the numbers that were being put out by media to the populace, and that would be completely false. There was no testing or anything to establish what was going on with the patients. Diagnoses are not rendered on a 911 call. But yet that seemed to be what our numbers were being utilized for, just because of some criteria for first responder safety, tagged as hot. But anyway, that being said, them not doing anything to protect us inside, acting like it wasn't even happening, forcing us to put this extreme mandate onto the populace in the communities. That was a huge conflict of interest for me. Therefore, the facility that I was utilizing to help people suddenly became a place that was hurting my community instead of helping my community. I took it to the chain of command, all my different concerns. It was basically ignored. I was kind of just told just to sit down and do my job, and I could not do that. I had a serious conflict within my own morality to be involved in what was taking place. So I decided to step out. I tried multiple times to bring forth change within the dispatch center, and it was not going to happen. I found myself just completely nestled inside a good old boy system where nothing mattered. Just do what you're told. Don't think outside the box. Just follow instructions. Sorry, not a robot. This guy I got too much invested in my own spiritual growth, my own moral foundation that I have built from that spiritual growth. And I have way too much knowledge, training, and experience to completely just ignore what was taking place right in front of my face. And so I had to step out of it. But because of that, I got the worst end of the stick, man. All the people around me that I'm connected to, they couldn't understand why I done what I done. Me trying to explain it didn't make sense to them because it didn't fit what they were hearing in the main narrative, and that was the only thing that mattered. Because you got people that's been dictating their whole life from a handful of news channels. It's they don't think for self. They just have a narrative fed to them, and they just go with that, and anything outside that narrative just becomes a lie or a manipulation or just whatever it is that allows them to ignore it. That's where I found myself. So me trying to process all that on my past YouTube channels, got 120 something subscribers, I had 120 something videos that I had up that I took down, and but all those past videos was me basically processing all that trauma that I went through. There was more that happened later, kind of on a different level. But anyway, that's what the past videos were all about. And these videos, you know, I'm just gonna state spiritual knowledge from my perspective, you know, but at the same time make it known that, hey, it's just my perspective. It's just how I see things based on what I experienced, what I went through, you know, the sum of my knowledge, training, and experience. And that's all it is. Not me trying to dictate anybody or tell anybody they have to do this or do that, or, you know, just simply stating some organic facts based on my perception of experience. That's all. But for this video, it's just an introduction, a reintroduction. Make it known I'm not responsible for anybody's emotional well-being. Expect everybody to be mature adults and in charge of their own emotional body. So you need to have some emotional awareness. You need to be aware of your own emotional triggers and know when to stop listening to something, and you know when to take a step back, maybe do a little research. You know, that way you can keep your emotional body in check, keep things balanced, and you don't start getting all overheated and worked up, wanting to leave nasty comments and all that, because anything I say, it don't matter for your life. So there's no reason for anybody to allow it to have such an emotional impact or effect on them. See what I'm saying? It's all about balance, and balance can be maintained largely just through perspective and grounding in one's own being. You know, your life belongs to you. So anyway, that being said, I'll cut it loose at that, and y'all have an awesome day. Peace, one love, one light. Later.